and thank you all for coming out in this horrendous weather tonight. Thank you all for missing the red, white, and boom traffic, because seriously, why? Why? Anyway, so the theme for tonight is American, and when I think of American, I'm thinking like food, specifically comfort food. And you probably noticed by my accent, it's always the first thing Ohioans notice. I am not from around these parts. I mean, it's so funny because Ohioans will be like, honey, where are you from? And, you know, like, they've never heard a Southern accent before, even though, like, basically the Kentucky border ends at, like, Grove City. You know, whatever. Anyway, so when you think of, like, stereotypically Southern comfort foods, you're probably thinking, like, sweet tea, sweet potato pie, fried chicken, a whole bunch of other fried shit, because, you know, we fry everything. And while all those foods are comforting to me, my number one comfort food that tops all others is grape leaves. Raise your hand if you've ever had grape leaves. All right, some of y'all got good taste in here. Good, good. All right, so for the uninitiated, grape leaves are a Middle Eastern / Mediterranean dish where you take the leaf of a typically non-fruit bearing grapevine and you fill it with very aromatically spiced rice and lamb, and you roll it up like a burrito, and it looks like a small green cigar that is about the size of your pointer finger, and it is delicious. So you're probably wondering, like, what is this Alabama redneck girl choosing grape leaves for her comfort food for? Well, it's because I'm also half Palestinian, and my little Arab grandma used to make them for me when I was a little kid. So, grape leaves are a super labor-intensive process. Like, they take all day. So this is not like the meal of your normal, like, Tuesday night. To really make it worth your time, you have to spend all day in the kitchen cooking these things, and you only do it when the whole family is coming over. Like, I'm talking all the kids, the aunties, the uncles, the cousins, everybody. So my grandma would, actually she like,
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No worries. Here you go.
Thank you.
So my grandma would make these from scratch, and it would take her usually 2 days. She actually had a fenced-in backyard, and the grapevine grew along the fence, so she would go outside with her little woven basket and would pick a bunch of grape leaves. She'd throw out the ones that were like too small, that wouldn't make very good grape leaves, and also all the ones that had holes in them where caterpillars had feasted. And then she would bring them inside and put them in a huge stock pot full of boiling salt water, and she would have to like do this like rinsing, boiling process like 3 times to make sure that all the dirt, the insects, and all that were killed off. Now, while she's doing this, she's also like cooking up a leg of lamb and making some very good rice. Now, if you've ever had Middle Eastern Mediterranean food, you know they do not skimp on the spices. So she's like throwing up in the spice cabinet, she's just dumping like one of everything into this mixture. And also, while all that's going on, she's making not one but 2 sauces. A tomato sauce from scratch, and a yogurt sauce from scratch. And I don't even know how yogurt's made. There's some like witchcraft involved. There's a fungusy thing going on. I don't even know, but it's magical. So she makes the grape leaves, and even as like a little kid, I could pack away like 15 or 20 of these things. And I'm a picky eater. So even when I was the only grandkid come to visit, she would make a giant pot of them just for me because they were basically like the only thing I would eat. And if any of you have like immigrant families or recent-ish immigrants in your family, then you know the cardinal sin is you do not refuse the food. You will get ousted and like cussed out in a language you probably don't understand. And being a picky eater when I was a kid, like, they would get so pissed at me when I wouldn't eat any of the other traditional dishes, and I would only eat grape leaves. Like, there was one that involved chicken gizzard, and I was like, oh, hell no. So they would have to make grape leaves when I was coming over, otherwise I would go on hunger strike. And even though it was, like, so labor-intensive to do all this work just so I would eat something and wouldn't starve at their house, like, I don't remember my grandmother ever complaining about it. And I think, looking back on it, it was like the way she showed me she loved me because like she didn't really speak fluent English. She and my grandfather were like born and raised in Ramallah in the West Bank, and their native tongue was Arabic, and they spoke almost exclusively Arabic to each other in the house. And so like she learned like enough to get by, but she couldn't really like communicate super well, so we never had like conversations. And especially when I was like a little kid, it's like I'm trying to learn how to talk, and then she can't really like speak the language that I'm trying to learn how to talk in. Like it was kind of like we communicated via gestures. And so her cooking me food was the way she showed me she loved me, in the only way that she could. And so that was all like well and good. I was a happy, well-fed, on grape leaves kid until I was 12 and she died. And so my first thought upon getting the news is like, oh, this sucks. You know, my grandmother just died. My second thought, which came about 30 seconds later, if I'm being honest, was, fuck, I'm never going to get grape leaves again. And I realize now that this is flawed logic, but I had honestly thought that she was the only person in the world who knew how to make grape leaves, and that I was screwed because I had like never had them in a restaurant, because why would I go to a restaurant and order grape leaves when I go to grandma's house and eat for free? And she didn't ever write down her recipes. Like when she learned how to cook in Ramallah, like she learned with her mom and her grandma, and so it was all by memory. She didn't write anything down. And so I was thoroughly convinced that when she died, she took that recipe with her, and that was that. And sadly, it took me about 8 years until I was like 20 before it occurred to me, like, oh my God, they have these things called restaurants, and I can go there and I can order grape leaves. And I thought this would be so easy because I thought like, okay, there's like one way to make grape leaves. I'm just gonna roll up at any restaurant, ask for the grape leaves, it'll be fine. No, actually it did not go that way at all. It actually turned into like this huge quest where I'm like going to all these different restaurants in Birmingham and trying desperately to find grape leaves that taste like my grandmother's. So there are two ways to fuck up grape leaves. One, the sauce. Two, the temperature. So, first example of really bad sauce. So my grandmother's sauces were like not very thick. Like the goal was not to slather it on the grape leaves like barbecue sauce or like ketchup or something. It was just to like lightly dip the grape leaf, you know, like let it sit in a bowl a minute, and then the sauce will like kind of soak up through the rice. It's a subtle flavor. I went to a Greek food festival in my hometown of Birmingham, and I'm thinking like, okay, Greek folks got Mediterranean food. They got these things called dolmas and domates, like kind of looks like a grape leaf in that it is a leaf that has meat and rice mixed up in it. This sounds great, you know? And so I go to this festival, I order the dolmas, and I open the box that they come in, and I go from like, yes, to, fuck. And I see this like yellow sauce on it, and it's like a really thick yellow sauce, and it's kind of chunky, and it's like completely covering the like grape leaf, you know, and I'm like, huh? And for all I know, it could have been the best sauce in the world, but it kind of looked like half-digested cat food that had been vomited out. And I was just like so disappointed that like I waited in this line for like 30 minutes, and then I get this odd sauce. So no offense to my Greek folks in the room, it could have been great. It just like wasn't what I wanted, you know. And so then, second way to fuck up grape leaves is the temperature. I guarantee you, those of you in this room who have had grape leaves, if you have had bad grape leaves, it was because they were served to you cold. And this actually happened up here. I'm not going to say the name of this restaurant because they're very nice people and I don't want to like blast them, but if you really want to know, I'll tell you afterward. Just come up and ask. Okay, so this new restaurant opened in town, and it is a Mediterranean Middle Eastern restaurant, and I'm so excited. So I go within like I go the same week they open. I order the grape leaves, and at this point I have learned that there are many ways to fuck up grape leaves. And so I asked the waitress like, "Hey, so are your grape leaves served hot?" And she says, "Yeah, sure, totally." And I'm like, "Yes!" I feel like I've like won the lottery, and I'm like, "I'll have a plate." And I'm like bouncing around in my seat. I'm so excited. They come to me, and they're pretty good. I gotta say, like, I was like, these are quite well done grape leaves. They're good enough, in fact, that I order a second plate. The second plate comes to me cold, and I take a bite of it, and like, the thing is, when grape leaves are cold, the rice congeals together, and like, it just kind of like, I don't know, it honestly looks and tastes like pepper jack string cheese wrapped up in a grape leaf. And so I take a bite and I'm just like, the fuck is this shit? You know, it tastes completely different. And so like I called the waitress over and I'm like, I'm not trying to be weird or anything, but did you put pepper jack string cheese in this grape leaf? Because this ain't right. And so she's like, oh my God, something must be wrong. So she calls the chef and he comes and he's like, yeah, so we're Lebanese, like traditionally they're served hot, but it's really hard to like make them hot in a restaurant. And I was like, let me tell you something. I'm Palestinian and traditionally we serve them hot too. And your grandma, your teta, your siti would be really upset with you right now, Mishnafa, which basically means like good for nothing in Arabic. And he's just like, oh my God, this like southern redneck girl just told me like I'm good for nothing in Arabic because I served her cold grape leaves. I have not been back since. I'm pretty sure he's glad that I have not come back. But there was one restaurant I found in my hometown of Birmingham, Alabama that actually did grape leaves perfectly. It's called Macario's. If you ever find yourself in Birmingham, I highly suggest you go. And they brought out the grape leaves and I was really skeptical, right? And I'm thinking, oh my God, these look like my grandma's. They smell like my grandma's. Take a bite. Holy shit, they taste like my grandma's. And it was like all I could do not to cry tears of joy into the plate. I was like, finally, someone got it right. And so, of course, I went back twice a week, usually more, for years. It got to the point where, like, all the waiters memorized my order. Like, the cooks would be out back taking a smoke break, and they would see my car pull in, and they're like, oh, gotta go, grape leaf girl's here. And so they would always, like, make jokes with me, like, damn, you must really like grape leaves. Like, okay, you know. But the thing is, it was never just about the food. Like, my grandma cooked grape leaves for me to, like, show me that she loved me. And so, we know that science tells us that smell and taste are really powerful ways to evoke memory. And so as I'm like eating these grape leaves that actually taste really close to hers, I'm like remembering all this stuff about my grandma that like I hadn't really thought about in years. And at that point in my life, she was the only family member I had that had passed away. And so she was the only one that I really like had to like mourn and remember in terms of like death, you know. And so I would remember all this stuff, like how she had this green brocade couch that she was really proud of. She actually like kept a plastic covering on it and would yell at anybody who sat on it. And like looking back, it makes sense to me because I'm like, okay, well she grew up poor, like so she bought this nice furniture brand new in the 50s and she wanted to keep it nice. But when I was a little kid, me and my cousins were like, Tata, why do you have a couch that nobody can sit on? Like, what good does it do? And so we would take turns distracting her, then we'd sneak upstairs to sit on the good couch to see what was so special about the good couch. And then like, she would always like make bread from scratch and like the flour would get like lodged into all of the like wrinkles and creases on her fingers, and so our hands would be really soft when she'd pat me on the cheek. And then she would also, with my cheeks, she didn't think about cheeks. She would always pinch my cheeks to make them rosy because I was like too young to actually wear makeup. But then she would chase me around with like a red tube of lipstick because she really wanted me to wear a lipstick for some reason. Never figured that one out. So I'm be there eating the grape leaves and I'm like thinking about my grandma and I'm just like really happy and stuff. And so like that's really what it was about for me. And I've been in Columbus for about 2.5 years now. And I really wish that I could tell you that I found my perfect grape leaf place up here. But the truth is, I haven't. And it's also kind of like mentally exhausting to constantly go to all these restaurants and order grape leaves and like get my hopes up, and then when it comes, it's never like what I'm hoping it'll be. It's never what I want. And I'm starting to wonder at this point if it's like some cosmic lesson from the universe that's telling me, hey, you're never gonna have grape leaves that are like your grandma's, like get over it. Like you're never gonna have grape leaves that are as authentic, big air quotes, as your grandma's. And so, I don't know, maybe I should make some of my own. Because the truth is, what's authentic to my grandma is not necessarily what's authentic to me. She is full-blooded Palestinian. I'm half redneck, half Palestinian. So maybe the universe is telling me that I should take grape leaves and put fried chicken and macaroni and cheese into the grape leaf. Or I should get collard greens and cook it in a pot with a ham bone, because that is how you do it. And I should put the lamb and rice mixture into the collard green and make a fusion food. And I know that fusion foods get a bad rap by it's being, hipster, gentrifying stuff, but the truth is, a redneck grape leaf would be very authentic to me. And if that's not a melting pot, I don't know what is. Thank you.